Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Would everyone please stand and join us for the flag salute? Over there. Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. We're going to start out the evening by swearing in our newest member. So Diana's going to go down to the podium and take care of business.
Michelle, would you like to join us? I am going to repeat the oath, and you can repeat it after me.
Okay.
So if you'd be kind enough to raise your right hand. I, and state your name, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
I, Michelle Robertson, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You are now our board member.
Yay.
May I invite you to the dais? We have a reserved seat for you.
Welcome back. We're glad to have you. Okay, we'll move right into approval of minutes from the last meeting and our special meeting of May 7th. Can I get a motion?
Move to approve?
I second the motion.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, move on to approval of the agenda and consent agenda. Yeah.
I move to approve the agenda and consent agenda.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
All right, any discussion? Just a roll call? Sally?
Oh, sorry. Asleep. Oh, a new one. Robert, Michelle.
Aye.
Ohelia.
Aye.
Jamie.
Aye.
Andy.
Aye.
And I'm aye.
Okay, move on to public interest reports, presentations, and we'll go right into recognitions.
Thank you.
Diana.
So tonight I'd like to begin with Principal Corneo on behalf of the high school. He'd like to recognize Miss Julie Shamblin Rubio for chaperoning 15 high school students to the International Virtual Enterprise Competition. He'd also like to recognize Kelly Pierce, Mr. Bisson, and Ms. Gill for organizing the Every 15 Minutes presentation, which is designed to remind students about the dangers of alcohol and driving. On behalf of Rincon, Principal Gloger would like to recognize Virginia Haynes. She's a long-term substitute at Rincon High School. She's been a huge help to the students and staff at Rincon while teaching science, math, literacy, and an elective. She has a very positive attitude and goes above and beyond for students. And then at the middle school, Principal O'Shea would like to recognize Pat Guarnero, the library media technician, for her creativity and tireless efforts in encouraging Red Hawks to read daily. She plans clever and fun activities that interest and engage students in reading. At Canalino and Family School, Principal Pursoon would like to recognize Linda Callender. She's an instructional assistant, and she's recognized for her excellence in multiple roles on campus. She supports fifth grade students from 2 combination classes to be successful in math, and these students are mastering and exceeding standards. She also supports students on the playground to develop independence in making positive choices. At Aliso, Principal Fox would like to recognize Julie Soto and Annette Macias, library media technicians. The library is the center of the school, and Julie and Annette support students and staff in many ways. They're always able to find the most perfect book for every child, encouraging a love of reading in all of the students. They encourage and challenge students to take their reading to different levels by providing them opportunities to participate in our district's Battle of the Books and the Santa Barbara County Battle of the Books. We value and thank them for all that they do at Aliso. Principal Fox would also, on behalf of Summerlin, would like to recognize Seti Elamohasi. She's an instructional assistant, and she's new to Summerlin this year, but she's become an important part of the community and team. She quickly learned the software program that monitors library books to support the library. We are very fortunate to have someone with such initiative on the Summerlin team. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I believe we have a student report. So do we have any students in the audience who'd like to come up and read the student report from the high school? Ella? Yeah? All right.
It's all written up for you.
It's all written up.
Just need
Yeah, no, just come up.
right
You
here.
can come,
We
you can
have
come
it
right
for
up
you.
here.
You just need to read what's written. Thank you.
Where is it? Okay. Okay. Carpinteria High School has had a very busy last 2 weeks. We had a very successful prom and after prom. Thank you so much to Miss Bravo and Miss Navarre for organizing the prom, and to the parents for CHS for organizing the after prom. Last week, all of our 9th grade students were trained by the Carpinteria Summerlin Fire Department and the CPR. Yesterday, our after-school program had the first job fair at CHS. Dave Pennington organized the fair, and over 20 businesses had representatives looking to hire high school students. Tomorrow, 40 students will travel to the Reagan Library. Next week, 100 students will travel to LA to the Museum of Tolerance and to the LA County Museum of Art.
Thank you.
Great, thank you very much.
Thanks.
That was very,
Yes.
I put you on the spot there, so good job.
She's a performer, so she handled it beautifully.
She did it very well. Okay, so
Thank
we'll move
you.
on right into the superintendent's report.
Thank you. I'd like to begin with appreciation. May 8th was California Day of the Teacher, and our CUSD teachers deserve to be celebrated. Inspiring and impacting student lives on a daily basis, our teachers have the most important job in the world. CUSD teachers are caring, dedicated professionals and deeply committed to the success and happiness of each student. On a daily basis, they provide instruction, guidance, and opportunities to ensure that all students learn the necessary skills for a successful future. They thoughtfully plan lessons that engage all students while responding to the varied abilities, strengths, and needs of individual students. Most importantly, CUSD teachers foster strong, positive relationships with their students and families. We are honored to recognize CUSD's outstanding teachers, and we celebrate their significant impact on our children, families, communities, and society as a whole. And tonight we have teachers in the audience, so I'd like to ask them to stand up so we can give them an applause, and they also represent all of our teachers. So would you be kind enough to stand up if you're a teacher in the audience? Thank you. Thank you. Now, on behalf of the State Department of Education, Starting Smarter, new websites for families. As you know, right now we're in the midst of our state testing, and CDE and the Smarter Balanced Assessment Consortium, they've created Starting Smarter family websites to empower parents and families to become partners in their children's academic success. Starting Smarter for the CASP can be found at ca.startingsmarter.org, and for the English Language Proficiency Assessments for California, the LPAC, can be found at lpac.startingsmarter.org. CHS National Honor Society. We're so proud. This year, CHS has begun a charter of the National Arts Honor Society, and it's sponsored by our CHS art teachers, Deb Joseph and Sarah Rocklitzer. Their goals are to make art visible on campus and participate in art and community service projects. This year, CHS Honor Society will host a student art show at the high school in May, and will also participate in the annual I Matanori Chalk Festival at the Mission in Santa Barbara, which I believe is Memorial Weekend. Yes. The Kids Network is a county-wide collaboration of organizations and individuals who are committed to children, youth, and families. Each year, Kids Network celebrates the contributions of young people in Santa Barbara County by honoring students who've made a significant positive impact in our community. We are so proud that Sam Crudson, CMS 8th grade student, received the 2019 Youth Impact Award. Congratulations to Sam. Now I'd like to share some information about the Golden State Merit Diploma, State Seal Merit Diploma. 47 graduates have qualified for the Golden State Seal Merit Diploma. That's an increase of 19 students from last year. Last year we only had 28. So that's very exciting. To qualify, students must be eligible to receive a high school diploma and must have demonstrated the mastery of the curriculum in at least 6 subject areas: English language arts and literacy, mathematics, science, U.S. history, and 2 additional subject areas. As well as they must have earned one of the following: a grade of B+ or above in a single course, completed in grade 9, 10, or 11, and an achievement level of a standard met or above for the high school Smarter Balanced Summative Assessment in English language arts and math, or a qualifying score that demonstrates mastery of the subject for an examination produced by a private provider, such as the SAT or AP exam. Last week on May 8th, the district received the United Way Literacy Partner Award for our partnership with United Way in serving underperforming elementary students with literacy intervention programs. United Way is providing a free 6-week Fun in the Sun program for our elementary students this summer at the middle school, and also providing funding $19,000 for kindergarten intervention during the next school year, 1920. So we appreciate the generosity of United Way. The K-12 Strong Workforce Program Funding Awards, we've received some more funding. The California Community College Chancellor's Office, Division of Workforce and Economic Development, in partnership with the CDE, has announced funding awards, and our high school will receive funding for CTE programs next school year as part of the Santa Barbara and SLO CTE Consortium. And then the Carpinteria Children's Project, another wonderful celebration. CCP celebrated 10 years of building community partnerships to ensure that all children are successful, cradle to career, and through quality early education and family resources, the project has made a significant difference in kindergarten readiness. 10 years ago, only 15% of our entering K students were tested as ready for K. And today, close to half, 44.6% are ready, and 83.6% are almost ready, thanks to the Children's Project. CCP, the project, is a critical partner with our district in promoting successful students, healthy families, and a thriving community. And you also know that Michelle was one of the founders of CCP. So we're so grateful for your leadership. Thank you, Michelle. And then Measure U, you're going to hear a lot more about Measure U later on, but a quick update, the first phase of modernization of existing classrooms at Aliso, Canalino, and the high school. We're ready to begin June 17th. There'll be significant construction activity on these campuses during the summer, and those campuses will be closed. Teachers are busy packing their classrooms so that all items are removed prior to construction. In addition, with a tight timeline, contractors have already begun mobilization. We are all looking forward to returning in September to our brand new modernized classrooms and new furnishings for the teachers and the students. Thanks.
Thank you very much. That report is an indication of how many great things are happening in this district.
It's very exciting.
Wonderful. Yeah. Okay, we'll move right into onto D4, and we have Michelle Fox here and the Aliso team. And we're going to get an update on everything exciting happening there. Welcome.
Okay, yeah. So I have with me Mary Lewandowski, TK teacher, Gretchen Toffelmeyer, kindergarten, Brett Weiberg, second grade teacher, Ryan Francisco, fifth grade teacher, and then Claudia Juarez, kindergarten teachers there. So there are a million great things happening at Aliso this year. As you know, we started the biliteracy program, our pilot program. So that's been going on since February. We're continuing on with our STEAM adventures and our exploration lab. And then we're doing some other fun things that we wanted to share with you. One of them is our media club. And so they're going to present what has been going on at Aliso. So we're going to let them do the talking.
Good morning, Lions! Welcome to the special edition of the Aliso Pride Report.
We're here with an update on what's been happening at Aliso Elementary this year.
Our reporters will be bringing you an update on some of the cool things students are doing around campus.
First, we will turn to our reporter with an in-depth report on the new biliteracy program in kindergarten. That sounds awesome, doesn't it, Anna?
Yeah, it sure does.
Yeah, that's really
Hopefully
cool.
those kindergartners are learning, right, and paying attention. Woohoo! Hello, I hear that you have this new program, the biliteracy program. Can you please tell us more about this?
Sure. We're having a lot of fun learning Spanish in TK and kindergarten. So this is a new program that we started this year. We're piloting it, and the kids are spending about 20 minutes a day learning the language and playing games and singing songs and just having fun with Spanish. Our goal is for the students to learn basic conversational Spanish, and for those kids who already know the language, we're enriching their language and teaching a little bit more content as well. So the kids are having a lot of fun, and the goal is that these students who are now in TK and kindergarten, they'll continue this on to the next year, where the program will continue to grow. But they're really having fun. It's a lot of fun.
Neat. Sounds like fun. Well, thanks for telling us more about that program. Hopefully those students will be Spanish talkers in no time.
I think they will. Círculo amarillo. Círculo azul. Triángulo morado. Ahora sigue rectángulo verde. Círculo verde. ¿Cuál falta?
Morado.
A ver. Oh, es morado. Ahora es el turno de Riley.
Rosado. ¿Cuál falta? Negro.
¿Es negro? ¡Bravo! Un aplauso, niños y niñas.
Wow, esos niños de kinder están aprendiendo mucho español.
Sí.
Sí.
Very cool. So what's up next on the agenda, Taylor?
Well, next, we take a look into the Aliso Exploration Lab. This year, students have been exploring the NGSS standards.
What is cool is that all students in TK through 5th grade participate in our exploration lab. This year, they have done many engaging and exciting activities.
One series of lessons that had students looking at what plants need in order to survive. Students then developed experiments to prove their hypothesis.
Students also had the chance to code using Ozo blocks. That was cool.
Oh, yes, it was.
It was awesome.
Right now, students are using their knowledge of parachutes and kinetic energy to devise a contraption for Aliso's first ever egg drop competition. Let's take a look at some of the clips from the Exploration Lab.
Woo-woo. Now let's turn to sports. So what great things have the Aliso athletes been up to this year?
Well, this year, Mr. Morales and Miss Piccoletti and Miss Oaks headed up the Aliso Running Club. Each Tuesday and Thursday morning, students were out sharing their love of running, and many were preparing for the Orchard to Ocean race. This year, Aliso took first place in the spirit competition. Go Lions!
Woo! Students also participated in the first Junior Wrestle Cup and had a great time participating with students from Catalino, Family School, and Summerland.
Sweet! Next up in our Around the Globe section, we will meet Miss Lee, who will share how she and Mr. Morales are bringing different cultures into Aliso.
Good job.
Good morning, Aliso Lions. Today I'm here with Miss Lee and Mr. Morales to ask them more about the Cultural Day. The Cultural Day is for the whole school. Can you tell us more, Miss Lee?
Sure. Cultural Day Assembly is going to be an event for the entire school that exposes our students and staff to different cultures, and we just want to celebrate the differences in the world that we have and be able to broaden our horizon and provide some and learn how to be accepting of other cultures.
Can you tell us more, Mr. Morales?
Yeah, I'm very excited about this event. This is the first time that we do it at Aliso, and our whole purpose is to help the students and the teachers to understand that there are so many cultures in the world. And for example, Senora Lee is from Korea, or her culture is Korean, and my culture is Mexican and Zapotec, which is an indigenous culture. And what we want to do basically is help the students understand that our culture here in California, in the United States, or even here at Aliso, is just one culture, that there are many cultures in the world, and we need to start accepting that fact. And we need to start celebrating our own, learn how to celebrate our own culture. So, and also, can you talk about the cultural night that we're going to have with the parents?
So Cultural Day Assembly is on May 31st. It's a Friday. The night before, I would like to invite everybody, including parents, to Cultural Night. It's on May 30th. It's a Thursday evening, and we will be performing from our different cultures, and we will also have some food from different cultures. So I invite everybody from this community to come out on May 31st. It will be at Aliso Elementary School in the cafeteria. Thank you.
That sounds awesome. Thank you for your time. Don't forget, go Lions!
That's awesome. Miss Lee and Mr. Morales are a great team.
Totally. Now the last thing we have to talk about is our brand new media club.
This year, Mr. Francisco has been working with students after school to produce our student newscast, the Aliso Pride Report. Can you tell us a little about the media club, Taylor?
Of course I can. So, the Media Club is a club where you meet once a week after school, and it's from 2:30 to 3:45, and it's where you write scripts and make videos to go on the Aliso Pride Report, which is school-wide.
Wow, there are a lot of great things happening at Aliso this year. I know that the teachers and Dr. Fox are working hard to bring so many fun activities to Aliso.
It's been a really great year here at Aliso.
Keep up the good work, everyone, and
Go Lions!
Thank you for watching
Aliso Pride Report.
and stay tuned for next week.
So Mr. Francisco meets with the students once a week for the media club, and like they said on there that you may not have heard very well is that they write their own scripts and they do their own filming. Mr. Francisco helps put it together, and then every Monday we show it through all the large screen TVs, and everyone in the school gets to see that. So it's really cool when you're walking around campus after school on Mondays. All the kids have iPads or Chromebooks, and they're filming and leading each other. So it's really exciting.
That's great.
Yeah.
You can see their enthusiasm.
Yeah. So one thing, we started the the biliteracy program, and you may not have heard everything, but that's going really well. We're looking into some curriculum for next year, so we have a couple of ideas. We've kind of narrowed it down to 2, and we'll be piloting one of those next year. So that's exciting. You couldn't hear Mr. Morales and Mrs. Lee, but they're doing a cultural day and cultural night May 30th and 31st. And they're inviting people to come see that. It's the first one that they've done. And they've also been, we didn't cover it on this, but they've also been leading family literacy nights at our school. And last night they had one at the Carpinteria Public Library. And so we had probably close to 100 people at the library last night. So it was a really good turnout. So there's lots of good things going on at Aliso, and we're real excited about those things. And so we're here to answer any questions if you have any for us.
That's fantastic. How is the so the biliteracy program is or the pilot that you're doing this semester is going really well?
Right. So Gretchen did a lot of that work for us over the winter break. She found a lot of materials that would help support the teachers in the classroom. And it's working well, but we found that we really do need a curriculum that's going to be systemic and systematic. And so we're looking at something that'll be a little bit meatier for us to use next year that'll carry into first grade.
Are you piloting that in TK and K or just?
Yeah, Mrs. Lewandowski is doing it in TK too.
All
So
right.
so next year it'll be TK, K, and 1.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So any feedback from parents or staff?
So my students, I know, are having a great time, and the parents have commented that the students are going home and using some of that vocabulary, and they're playing the games with their parents at home. So I think that, overall it's pretty successful. We just need a curriculum, and so that's what we're looking at for next year. But yeah, it's good.
All right.
Add to that. I know that some of my students are also going home and asking their parents to show them some of the media that we use in class. So they're looking up the songs in Spanish that we're using in class, and they're practicing at home by looking at these different songs and little things that they have online for kids. So kids are telling their parents about it, and I think they're enjoying it a lot.
That's a good indicator.
Yeah.
Anything else we can answer for you?
You have any questions?
Thank you.
Keep up the good
Thank
work.
you.
Yeah.
That's I think the kids answered all the questions right
Yeah,
there.
that's what we were hoping. They did a really nice job.
That's what you're after, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
right, we'll move on to D5 and an update on Measure U. And we have Dave Winiger and Cindy Abbott here.
Good evening. The entire Measure U team is here. David Winiger in the back, and our two architects, Robert Robles and Joe Wilcox. So we're going to give you an update on our projects. We're going to be focusing on the estimates and funding allocations, and also talk to you a little bit about what we'll be doing this coming summer. In addition to that, I've kind of did the overview already. In the context of our most current budget estimates and our funding from the state, we're going to be asking you to make a couple of decisions regarding transfers of bond funds from contingency and escalation, and also to approve the revised timelines for some of the projects due to the delays in state funding. So we have a lot to talk about, and I'm hoping that the information you got about our estimates and how we're proposing to fund the projects going forward is helpful. I wanted to start in the context of, first of all, where we are today and the progress that we've made, which I think is visible throughout the district. First of all, we have replaced a lot of our portable classrooms by Gen 7 classrooms at the high school, the middle school, and Catalino family schools. In fact, the middle school no longer has any portable classrooms. We have taken them all out. It's the first campus in Carpinteria that has no portable classrooms. And some of those have been there since the late 1960s. So we've had portable classrooms for a long time. And we're looking forward to getting rid of the others at all of our campuses, including Summerland, over the length of all of our projects. So that's the big thing we've accomplished so far. But we've done a lot of other things, too. We've modernized restrooms. We've replaced roofs and walkways at the high school, the middle school, and also at Aliso. And you can see all of those as well. So we've been really busy. And we're now turning and focusing on modernization of existing classrooms beginning this summer at the high school, Aliso, and Catalino. The design for the new administration building at the high school is at DSA and is undergoing review, so hopefully that design will be approved soon and we can begin the process of planning for that construction. And then finally, we're working on the coastal development permit for Summerland School. So we've also had challenges along the way. First of all, project costs have escalated even more than we anticipated. When I first made estimates in the facility master plan, I worked with an assumption of about a 4% escalation, and it's now running more like 9%, which is really a lot. And the reasons for that, there are a lot of reasons. One of them just is our economic climate. There's a lot of competition for contractors, and there aren't a lot of contractors who are large enough and have the experience in doing school construction. So when we bid out projects, we talk to contractors, we're not talking to a lot of people. And so that makes it a little more challenging as well for us in terms of costs. And then finally, over the process of designing and getting approval, we've had to deal with a lot of different governing entities. Of course, we talk a lot about the state architects, and they're one of the big hitters, but we also have to deal with the California Geological Survey, FEMA, and a lot of other entities, and we have to make sure that we comply with all of their changing regulations, and they do change all the time. The other thing I wanted to focus on tonight is that we are experiencing delays in receiving funds for the state. And I wanted to give you a little background about how the state school facilities program has worked. It's been in existence in its current form for a little over 20 years. And there have been a number of, an awful lot of school districts have applied for funds over the years, and it worked really well. You designed your project, you got it approved by DSA, you submitted it to the State Allocation Board, the Office of Public School Construction, and the funding applications were approved. The state was able to sell bonds at the state level to fund those projects, so that from the time you submitted your application till the time you actually got the money was like 6 months. This particular wave of funding has operated differently. In 2016, the voters, as you know, approved $9 billion in state funds, and very little of that has been dispersed. And the reason for that is that at the state level, the decisions have been made not to sell state bonds that quickly. And so for this next year, Governor Newsom is projecting $1.5 billion. But out of $9 billion, you can see it's going to take a lot of time to get to our place in the queue. What we have done is we've received information from our consultants, school facility consultants, and they evaluate our placement in the queue. And we've applied for all funding that we're eligible for, and everything is in the queue. But they're looking at our place, and then based on current sales of state bonds, they're projecting that our first wave of money will not be received until July of 2022. With the most significant piece not until the following February. So the state has delayed the funding significantly. Those are just estimates based on what the state bond sales are currently and projected. That could change. I'm hoping it goes a lot faster because that's quite a long time away. And what it does is it forces us to delay some projects, and then as we delay them, we also then have more inflation and escalation. So that's our situation at the moment. So we're planning our flow of funds to reflect those estimates. So this summary sheet tells the big picture. What you can see is in the, do you have like the mouse? Can I borrow the mouse? Thank you. Let's see if this works. Uh-oh. There we go. All right. So this is a summary spreadsheet, and what it does is it shows all of our projects at all of our sites, the summary, the totals for each site, and our current estimates as of right now, May 2019. You can see their estimates for the high school, the middle school, Aliso, Catalino, all the schools, the district office, and then at the bottom here we have estimates for some of the other miscellaneous items that were also in the facility master plan, including furnishings and equipment and interim housing and technology. So you can see in this first column, these are all our current estimates, and those add up to $110 million. And of course, we all know that we have $90 million in bonds from our that were approved by the voters. So the next column over here shows, as in June of 2014 in our facility master plan, it shows the allocation of that $90 million to each of those sites. So that's the $90 million. And what we're doing is comparing our current estimates to what we have allocated to each site out of our general obligation bonds. So then the next column, because a lot of these estimates are higher than the amounts that are allocated to the sites, we are proposing that you approve the transfer of our escalation funds and our contingency funds, which add up to about $10.5 million, and allocate them to these sites as needed so we can continue to do the projects that we are moving forward on. And so the next column, you can see that with those transfers, we would have additional funds for each of these sites. Then the next column, remember now we're not getting the state funds until fiscal 22-23, but we would be able to use those state funds to augment projects at each of these sites. And you can see here that the total is about $15.2 million. So that's generally what we would be getting in state funds when the state actually approves them for us. The next column reflects additional funds that you already know about. The almost $3.5 million of developer fees and fees from the sale of Toro Canyon for Summerland, and then almost $186,000 in E-rate funding. So these are funds that are separate from Fund 22, which is our bond fund, but they're added and available for covering our projects. So then you get to the final column, which is the total estimated project cost. So this is a way of looking at how we're going to pay for all of the projects based on our current estimates using our bonds, our state funding, and our miscellaneous other facility funds. So that's just an overview of what we're looking at, and then we're going to move on to slides that show each of the sites. So first, starting with the high school, what I've done is I've got the current estimates here as of May 2019. The projects that we are that are still up, that we're going to be doing in the future, are listed at the top. The completed projects with their final costs are listed at the bottom. So you can see that the total current estimate is $32,466,000. Out of this, we would be allocating our bonds to these projects. So you can see the administration building, the campus modernization, the ADA walkway for the B&F wings, and the gymnasium modernization would all be allocated our bond money from Fund 22. Now you can see we have a shortfall, and so what we're proposing is that the engineering lab, we would then use state funding for that to cover the costs of that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can we use any CTE money for the engineering lab, or is that just restricted to programming?
Yes, we are investigating that. So yes, that is a good point. May I just make one point here, is that for next year we are starting the engineering program, but it will be in one of our physics classrooms. So because we're deferring the project does not mean that we will not initiate the program. So I think that's important consideration.
Cindy, I recalled the high school was eligible for more state funding at one point in time. I thought the high school was eligible for $7 or $8 million in state funding.
The way our applications work is it's based on the projects and we submit them. So the dollar amounts, and I'm glad you asked this because I think this is important to understand as well. And the monies that come in from these projects, we will have already done the projects using bond money, right? So our funding applications with the state included our roofing projects and our Gen 7 classrooms. So those have all been done. We've paid for them with bond money, so we can use state money to backfill. And what the state calls savings, we can then use on any other school project. So it doesn't mean that just because the high school projects generated a certain dollar amount of state funding, you don't have to use it at the high school. You can use it on any project that's a facility project in the district.
Okay, so that's where we get because it was about 16 million, I think, originally that we were eligible for.
Well, not just for the
No.
overall.
Overall,
correct,
all of our sites were eligible
Almost
for
16,
almost
yeah.
16 million, and it looks like you're showing here a little over 15 million.
Right, because that's right now what I need to pay for the projects.
But are we actually eligible for more?
Slightly more, but there's a lot of variables in that, and we don't really know how much money we get until the state actually approves our application. Some of the variables will be things like every year there's a COLA applied to modernization applications, so that number might be higher. So this is
Do they apply their 9% escalation, or do they apply?
No. It's their COLA, not our escalation. So
but
COLA,
the DSA is coming up with that 9% estimate. So shouldn't they apply that 9% to the?
I like the theory, but that isn't.
So they're basing it on like CPI or something like that.
Well, it's just whatever the statutory COLA is that's used for every other program in the state. So it's more like
2.5%.
Yeah, something like that. So I guess the thing to remember here is we've put in our applications. We know how much money they could generate, but there's going to be variables to that, and especially since we're not going to have those applications approved in theory until 22, 23, those numbers could change somewhat. So I used the 15 million because that's what we needed to pay for our projects. I wanted to show you how we could pay for the projects using state funds. But that number may be a little higher or a little lower depending on what happens going further out. So the other important thing to remember is any of the projects where we need state money, they must be deferred until we get the state money because we don't know what we have until we get it, which is why you see the engineering lab listed at the bottom under a separate category called project deferred.
Okay.
Does that all make sense?
Yep.
Okay, good. Okay, the middle school. So the middle school, there's really just one significant project that we're looking at doing in the next few years. There'll be some modernization, but the focus of the work will be on modernization of the NPR room. And so what you can see here is that the estimates are for all the projects, both future and completed, of about 10.2 million. The bond allocation is 9.9, and so you can see up here with the NPR modernization, we don't have quite enough bond money to cover that, so we would need to use state money for that. So again, the NPR modernization project would be deferred until we know what state monies we're getting. Aliso. So the story at Aliso is a little more complicated. Our plan originally was to put in modular classrooms and replace the portables. That was going to be the first set of projects that we worked on the campus, just the same as what we did at Catalino and at the middle school and the high school. But what we discovered in the process was that the modular classrooms are considered new buildings for purposes of permitting, and Aliso is currently in the 100-year FEMA flood map. So what that means to us right now is if we built those buildings today, in order to get them approved, we'd have to build them up, I think, 5 feet? Really high. So one of the things that's happening is with the 101 projects, when all of the bridges over Carpinteria Creek and Franklin Creek are completed. What that will do is trigger a revision in the FEMA map, which we're hoping, and we have at least some indication that that may improve our situation, and we may not even be in the 100-year flood zone at that point, which would change how we designed and built those classrooms. We wouldn't have to put them up 5 feet, we'd have to put them up, what?
18 inches.
Who knows? We don't know. We don't know. But it's not. It's hopefully not the
I
5.
heard him say 18 inches.
Hopefully, it's not the 5 feet. So, postponing that project makes sense in terms of what the requirements would be. So what we're doing is we're focusing on modernization of the existing classrooms, and we're doing that first. So that's one piece of it. And then the other piece of it is, because of the costs, what we want to do is use state funding to pay for the modular classrooms. And again, because we're deferring those modular classrooms, we can wait to get the state funding before we begin that process. So you'll see again at the bottom, the modular classrooms are being deferred, but we're moving full steam on the modernization of the campus, and of course we're starting that this summer.
Cindy, how old is the K portables? What year were they put in?
Oh, I don't know. Do you know, David?
Which ones?
The K portables at Aliso. Okay.
So they're not so old.
They weren't new when we put them in.
Were they new when we put them in? No. See, we put in used ones.
Okay.
So they're older than that.
Not as bad as some.
Okay, Canalino. So Canalino, there's 2 main projects in future years. A lot of modernization, the entire campus. So all the classrooms, the cafeteria, the ECLC, all of the buildings would be modernized. And the estimate for that is $13 million. So what we're going to do, or what we're proposing to do, is use bond money to fund the first 3 phases. And then, and you'll see at the bottom of the sheet, we would defer the admin building, the kitchen, and room 1 modernization work, and the ECLC, except, of course, for the heating system that's on the roof, which is being replaced this summer because it's basically not working. So the phased-in process will allow us to complete the modernization at Canalino, but we're going to need to get some state funding for that as well in order to complete it. Then the other project is the Learning Center, which we're also proposing to defer until we get state money. So that would be on the list of deferred projects as well. Okay, Summerland, with the additional funds that have already been approved for the building from the South Toro Canyon and developer fees, we're not proposing any changes in the project or the funding or the timeline, so it's as we've talked about before. Rincon and Foothill, again, the modernization of the current high school administration building will occur, and we're estimating that we will have adequate bond money to cover those costs at this time, based on current estimates. Okay, so this is where we need your help. Later on in...
I'm sorry.
What?
Skip main school.
I did, didn't
Sorry.
I? Thank you. How did it get there? Okay. Okay, so Maine, we have some current estimates for both the campus modernization of existing classrooms and also the replacing the portables with modular classrooms. And with those costs, we are proposing to allocate bond money to both the modernization and the modular classrooms, but we don't have enough bond money to cover all of those projects. So that you can see here, there's a difference of $2.1 million, and I show it in the modular classrooms. It could be allocated in a different way based on those projects, but we're proposing that the work at Maine be deferred until we get further along in our process, so we know how much money we actually have.
There's also some indication that the Governor Newsom's going to mandate universal preschool, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And so that is likely going to free up some money for facilities.
If that translates into a program for preschool facilities, yes, we would definitely apply for it. And we're hoping that that's going to happen, but I haven't heard anything very specifically about what it looks like.
The hearing on that in appropriations is the 17th of May, so we'll know more, and then his May revise will tell us more, and but it wouldn't roll out till like 2022, I think, so, yeah.
Which is another reason to wait and see how things look. So hopefully there would be some money to cover the shortfall in funding for that project. Okay, now we get to the board approvals. Later on in the agenda, we're asking you to approve transfers from the contingency and escalation allocations to Aliso, Catalina, and Maine, and that's all based on the spreadsheets you saw before. The last item is project administration, and one of the things that we're finding is if we have to extend the life of Measure U and all of our projects, we have to extend the life of everybody who's working on it, and so we're proposing to allocate $1.4 million to project administration. And then this is a list of all the projects that were shown previously that would be deferred. And again, there's an item in your agenda later on asking for you to approve the deferral of these projects. So you can see where they are. There's the engineering lab at the high school, the NPR room at the middle school, Aliso modular classrooms, Catalina, 2 phases of modernization plus the learning center, Main school, both the modernization and the replacement of portables. And then the district office, there's a small amount allocated to the district office for modernization in the facility master plan, and that's being deferred for now as well. So there's a total of $31.8 million of projects that we're proposing to be deferred. And I think one thing to keep in mind here is we're going to be constantly evaluating where we are and whether we can move some of these projects forward. So it doesn't mean all of these will necessarily be deferred. Maybe we'll do some parts of it. But for right now, it seems prudent to go ahead and defer all this so we have a cushion of money that we can work with to make sure that we get done the highest priorities.
So in order to change the vote on the facility master plan, we're updating essentially the master plan, and that's with the most current information that we have as of this month. So this would make the master plan updated.
Can you just remind me, is 2024 our deadline for spending the $90 million, or is that?
I don't think there's any
thought we had to spend it in like
deadline.
10 years.
Well, there's rule.
Rules
Right.
on when you put in for the money, you have to spend a certain amount within a certain amount of time, and then you have to spend all of that bond money by a certain time, right, Cindy?
Right. So
So we've only sold. We've sold twice, so we've sold about $40 million.
we've sold a total of. We sold our first sale was 20, and this last sale was 40.
40. Okay, so yeah,
we've
60.
had 60. So the rules relate to once you sell those bonds, you can't be sitting on that cash because it's all tax exempt for investors. So we do have to comply with that, and we will. We're not having trouble spending the money.
How about comment or question?
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to let her finish?
Sure.
Yeah. Are you done?
Well, I'm done with my
Oh, you
piece
are?
of it.
Okay.
Then
All right.
we're just going to, the architects are going to come up and
Okay,
talk
yeah,
about
go
summer
ahead.
projects.
Yes. Let's say that we are 2023, we got all the money that we're supposed to get from the state, from the bond. And the question that I always ask you is this: after everything is said and done, will all the projects of phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 be completed? Because the way I see it is that this was when you put aside $4 million for future expenses, rising construction costs, delays, salaries, or as you said it, 5%. I think that going back to 2014, 2015, I think that more money should have put aside instead of just the $4 million. Because the way it is right now, 10.5, yeah. But still, I think that this should have been planned better, because we all know that everything is gonna, that construction is gonna go up, salaries are gonna go up, and bureaucracy always will interfere with everything. And I mean, we got that 90 million. We're gonna get 15.5 million from state aid. Let's say that we get a $1 or $2 extra million. This is the first time that I have heard you say that, well, it won't be enough. But I have asked you 3 times. Last time back, you were here. I was not here back in January. But 2018, I have asked you 3 times, well, Cindy, will we be able to complete every project with a bond, the 90 million, and the state aid money? You said yes. If we get the state aid as planned, we will complete phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. Now I'm hearing that it's not going to happen. I think that we should all acknowledge that.
What's your point? What's your point?
No, my point is that from every project from now on, that we should plan better.
It's
an advice. It's an advice, actually.
So just
speaking,
I would like to respond to this. So I was involved in
because
the facility master plan, the initial draft, and we hired experts. We were given the best information at the time. We were told this is the rate of escalation to plug in to your numbers. And so for you to come back and say you should have done it better is like talking talking about a football game on Monday morning and saying that guy shouldn't have passed the ball to that guy.
No,
it's
that's
really
why
easy to do that.
That's why you study who you analyze who you're playing against, and that's your better. Well, like 3 or 4 months ago or so. Well,
Okay, but what's your point?
No,
What's your point?
No, the point is this. The point is this: is that as days, weeks, months go by, measure you expenditures are going up, up, and up, and back then, this was decided on, and probably like 5 or 6 months ago or so, or around there, you said, Andy, well, we need to sell the Baylor property so that we could finish Measure U. That was unthinkable back then. So
that's not true.
No,
that's not true.
What do you mean?
I never said that was unthinkable. And
no, I'm saying, I said that's what I'm saying.
You still haven't told us what your point is.
No,
here.
the point is this: is that's why we should plan ahead accordingly. I mean,
isn't that why we're
it's not, because the way I see it is that like right now, looks like we're rushing in. Okay, let's come up with money from this source, from this property, from the other one, just to comply with all of this, and actually try to comply.
That was actually part of the discussion early on, Rogelio. Go ahead, Michelle.
So it's my understanding that we're going to have it. It's just delayed, right? The bond. It's the state. It's delay.
It's the state.
It's so we're gonna figure it out. It's gonna work. But I would like to say that your argument could be used as a good analogy of why we need a healthy reserve.
I was thinking
for unplanned contingencies. And stuff like that,
because the way I see it is that we're if we are selling properties to complement state aid, to complement the 90 million bond, then what's next? And that's how I see it. That's what I've seen through a couple of years, and this is what I think that should be a lesson to learn from. Let's just plan it better. And like if someone tells you, well, this is going to cost you $5 in next year, well, let's assume that it's going to cost 10, not 5, just in case. That's how I see it.
What happens if the state does not approve the applications that we turned in?
That's a good question, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So I think one thing that would be very unusual, but the state could choose not to sell any more bonds, couldn't they?
Mm-hmm.
And then we'd all be sitting in line waiting for money that we would otherwise legally be entitled to, and they don't disperse it. I don't think that would happen, but it's out there in the realm of possibilities. So then one of the reasons we talked about deferring projects is so that if we, for some reason, didn't get any state money, we would have finished the things that were the highest priority using the bond money. That was our discussion when we put out our facility master plan, and that's what we told voters. So that's a reason to defer those projects as well. We're not going to be doing projects we don't currently have money to do.
What happens with some of the projects that we currently feel as a priority that are kind of falling behind, such as Summerland, get not funded prior to the applications not getting accepted? Then do we just not what if Summerlin needs more money than the $6 million, which it probably will? Then we only have $6 million set aside, and then we have no money.
So then we have a discussion about how we solve that issue in the context of what GO bond money we have. Remember, we're deferring $31 million in projects. So we're deferring quite a bit more than what we might theoretically need to defer, just for that reason. So if we go down the road and we say, okay, other things have happened and now we think it's going to take this amount of money to complete a project, then we have a discussion about how do we do that? How do we address that? Does that help at all?
It does. And you're saying we have $10 million in reserve for contingencies as well? Is that what you're saying?
Well,
earlier?
that's what we're being asked tonight. We're being asked to allocate those contingency dollars and the escalation dollars to projects. That's what we'll be doing in a next further on the agenda in Measure U under, I think it's H.
And we have $30 million in unclaimed bond money so far with Measure U. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, if you define
Well, we haven't sold it. Unsold. We have
unbonded.
unsold $30 million
Yes.
of additional bonds to sell as part of Measure U.
So I just want to commend the Measure U team, because I think this is exactly what the communities have asked for, is that when you have the most current, up-to-date information in building projects, you have to plan ahead and make some adjustments to your master plan, because the community and the board voted on the master plan. And now with the May estimates, we have the most current up-to-date estimates as we're going into construction. Those numbers are much closer to what's actually going to cost us than 5 years ago. So I think it's critical at this juncture that we are presented with this information and organized in a way that is pretty, I think it's a pretty solid plan in moving forward. And it allows us the flexibility of making decisions based on the most current up-to-date information. So I find it very helpful, so thank you.
That's up to May 2019, correct?
May 2019, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so moving on to our summer projects. Let's see, the first one. Carpinteria High School and Joe Wilcox from Cougar Benson Zemer.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Joe.
Hope everybody's doing well.
Thank you.
The graphic on the screen is the site plan of Carpinteria High School, and I was asked to sort of explain what's going to happen there this summer. And last summer, it was a construction site. It was very, very busy, and this summer will be exactly the same. We're going to be modernizing the C wing, which means going into the classrooms, the D wing, just a portion of the D wing, and the G wing. And when I say modernize, I'm going to say new flooring, new ceilings, new ceiling fans. They already have new lights, so the contractor has to take the lights down or protect the lights and put them back and not damage them. New heating and venting units, so we get better heating and ventilation. New paint finishes, new roller shades on the windows, new marker boards, new tack boards, new flat screens with all the associated IT. And keep in mind, when I say new, that also means all the existing stuff has to come out. So it's not like we just come in and put it on. So there's a lot of demolition involved. Also on that graphic, you'll see sort of a red Carpinteria High School line going vertical between the B wing and the F wing, and that's going to be new sidewalks there to do the ADA work, which we had done a while back on the upper wings, along with door hardware, door thresholds, kind of in advance of the summer of 2020, because we're going to have two different contractors on the site, and we came up with a plan on how do we keep them out of each other's crib, keep them out of their area. And we've met with them that it's going to be clean. And on top of that, we're going to be doing fire alarm to the majority of the campus, and it'll all be integrated with the existing fire alarm. And then the summer of 2020, the remainder of the campus-wide fire alarm will happen. So it's going to be a busy summer.
And you will be done by August 17th.
The contractor will be done.
Thank you,
yes.
Joe.
Hey, Joe, I had a question. Why are we modernizing the new kitchen? The new.
We're not. That's
okay.
wrong. That red is wrong. We're not.
We're not.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. We are adding a couple of. We're changing the locks in there so that they're all in the same key system. We are adding the in that old home ec room. We're adding the screens, the fans.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some little bit of work, but for example, in that old home ec room, we're not replacing that floor because it's new, and we're not touching that. You're right. Yeah, that's just a graphic error on the. We got wild with the red.
All right.
Joe, what are you doing with the pupil services portable?
You know, I had that question when I sent that graphic over. We're not doing anything with the pupil services portable. I'm glad you asked that because Cindy called me as well. There's some grading that has to happen behind the pupil services to integrate what happened with the science wing that didn't get picked up because we didn't have the topo in. So that's a great question. It looks like pupil services is not.
Because it will be replaced, period, sometime down the line.
Well, the portable won't be replaced, but we will be relocating pupil services.
Oh, and it'll go in there.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And I think I've mentioned everything, and there's also new electrical involved with the whole IT package. So
Great. Thank you.
thank you. It's been a lot of fun.
Hello, and nice to see everybody again. Welcome back, Michelle.
Thank you.
So, it's already, thank you for changing the slide. We're going to start off with the LISO, and you can see in the red there in the middle of the drawing is phase one. That's what we're starting to work on this summer, and we're very excited to begin this. So that's buildings, if I can read it properly, my memory serves me, buildings C and D, those two wings. And what's going to occur there is very, very similar to what some of the things that Joe Wilcox was just mentioning for CHS. We're doing a lot of interior finish work updates, such as flooring. We're doing door hardware and improvements. We're remodeling restrooms to be compliant with Americans with Disabilities Act. The ceiling fans. We're replacing heating units in that building. And then a lot of stuff that's occurring is the stuff that most people don't see or appreciate, which is site work. Pipes are being replaced that are old and starting to fail throughout the campus. But in this case, we're replacing a substantial amount of piping that's in the area of that construction zone in the middle of the campus. We're updating the electrical service for the campus main switchgear. What you currently have is a different type of service, and we're going to, basically with the new service, we're going to be able to get rid of all those little transformers that you might have seen throughout the campus. So that hazard will be removed. We're doing abatement all around. And I'm trying to remember some of the other things. There's so many things I can't even list at all, verbally, but we hope, the other thing I guess I can mention would be fire alarm work, the IT work, the infrastructure upgrades that related to communications, cables, and fire alarm upgrade. I think I already said that. Public address system is being included, a communications system. And all these things that will be a part of support of the IT and technology education programs that the school intends to provide and hopefully be forward-thinking for the future. And so that's ALISO. And so the first phase is beginning in the summer and ending at the end of the summer per schedule. And then in the green you see all the future phases, and those will be starting in the following year. So that's the plan. And let me go to the next campus. Pretty similar to the other one in the sense that we're beginning in the middle of the campus in a way, and then we're going to be working our way outward. So starting in the summer, phase one in red, you can see it's buildings, I believe buildings C and D, if I'm reading that properly. And those those are 2 classroom wings and also includes some restrooms at the end of the classroom wing in Building D. And so, again, all the same types of things that were mentioned before. Ceilings, ceiling fans, new lighting, interior finishes, doors and door hardware, the abatement, the substantial amount of site work to replace aging pipes that are buried underground, and the resulting pavement replacement that is made necessary by that. And then if you can see what we call Building J and what you call the ECLC, is there's a little red dot there. What that's indicating is the replacement of the package air conditioning and heating unit that's on top of the roof there. It's quite of a monster kind of unit up there, and but it is failing, and we're going to put a new one in, and that's a substantial part of the project, the overall project scope of work. And then there's also some restrooms in Building A. You can see a little bit of a red dot over there on Building A, right there. We're doing these restrooms as well. And the contractor that was hired by the district to help us analyzed all the construction documents and came up with this plan in the sense of what would be the most efficient way to do it. So they did a lot of studying and came up with this phasing plan for us. So that's kind of it, even though that's not really kind of it. There's a lot more to say, but it's hard to condense 150 sheets of drawings into one presentation. So anyway, if you have any questions, I'm here. So we're very excited.
Yeah.
To start working.
It is.
Very psyched.
It is exciting.
Yeah. I have my hard hat ready. So.
All right. Thanks, Robert.
Thank you, Robert.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any public comment, Monica? Nope. All right. Move on to E, board policies, and E1 is Administrative Regulation 1220, Citizen Advisory Committee's Community Relations, second reading. Can I get a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. E2 is Admin AR 6183, Home and Hospital Instruction, second reading. Any motion to approve?
I move to approve the Administrative Regulation 6183.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. E3, Board Bylaw 9322, Agenda Meeting Materials, second reading.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
E4, Board Bylaw 9324, Minutes and Recording, second reading.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll move on to nothing for Ed Services. We'll move on to G, Business Operations Facility and Warrants. Being asked to approve warrants from 4/20 to 5/9/2019 in the amount of $616,640.99.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right. Any discussion?
3 of us.
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item G2, G2 or gifts, grants, donations. G2A is a donation from Gallatin Stribling Orchids to Carp High Art Club in the amount of $500.
I move to approve with great thanks.
Second.
All right, I thank them as well. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item G2B, donation from Carp Ed Foundation to the high school Every 15 Minutes program in the amount of $500.
Move to approve.
Second that.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Item G2C, donation from OSI Hardware to Carp High School Avid Club in the amount of $360.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
G2D is a donation in the amount of, or from Michelle Brewston to Carp High School Athletic Golf Program in the amount of $500.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm going to abstain from voting on this, but I'll read it. Donation from Andy and Kathy Schaefer to Carp High School Band in the amount of $330.
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank
Welcome.
you, Schaefer's.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm abstaining. Item G2F, donation from Lou and Susie Panazon to Carp High School yearbook in the amount of $100.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you, Lou and Susie. We'll move on to G3, a budget study.
Yes, thank you. So as you know, Maureen is out on medical leave, so I'm going to present you with the most updated information. And actually, Monica, I'm going to ask if you can just sit there and refer to the page number, because we're not going to go through the whole document. We're just going to go to the updated pages. So I want to begin with page 10, and that is the updated slide for the history of property tax revenues. Typically, we receive more information at about this time. So at this point, we are projecting the $23.3 million for 2019-20, and that's the latest information that we have at this time. So that's what we're working with. The next updated slide is page 12. And so I just want to review the staffing reductions that we made as a result of our last board meeting and the conversation about where the reductions were going to take place. So in teachers, we reduced 1.2 FTE. In instructional assistants, we reduced 0.94. In library media technicians, 1.5 FTE. In the tech support is 0.32. Clerical support is 0.5 FTE, and custodians is 1.97 FTE. So those are the changes to the FTE accounts for 1920. The next slide that I wanted us to take a look at is on page 16. I really appreciate that Maureen worked fast and furious, carefully, however, to calculate the estimated actuals for this school year. And so you'll notice this is our 5-year history with the unrestricted general fund. So currently with the estimated actuals of revenues of 21.3, but expending 21.9, we're deficit spending 580,334. And this is for the unrestricted account. And you notice in the 5-year history, that's the pattern that we've been involved in. And then on the next page, page 17, this is the total general fund. So again, with the estimated actuals of 18-19, the total fund revenue, $29.8 million, with expenditures of $30.3 million. So again, that's $500,000 of deficit spending, and you'll see in a 5-year history that has been our pattern. The next updated slide is regarding special ed funding. And I just want to reinforce that all districts are experiencing the significant increases in special education costs. As a matter of fact, there's an article in the LA Times today that discuss the California funding of school districts, and that all school districts are making reductions because of the significant increases of special education and pension costs. So we're similar to most of the districts in the state. Special ed, our revenue is 1.5, yet our expenditures are 5.1 million. So that requires us to contribute from general fund of 3.6. So that's a 70% contribution to expenditures. And that's not unlike most districts in California, and it's increasing. The next slide that was updated, pages 21, 22, and 23, are the pie charts. and they reflect, with the current proposal for reductions, what we're proposing for the expenditures as well as the revenue for 1920. So you'll see on page 21 that 86% of our revenue is state aid and property taxes. And then on page 22, 85% is spent on salary and benefits. And page 23 has the pie chart with the total general fund, which illustrates that our funding is spent on instruction for our students in the classroom, teachers and students. The next page that I'd like us to take a look at is page 25. So with the 18-19 budget revenues at the estimated actuals is $21,341,734. We're expecting property tax increases of $1,117,390. We also have a slight increase for the education protection account of $13,087.
13,000.
Excuse me, 13,000. That is I would like 13 million, however. Yes. And then the change to the federal revenue was $8,220. So that's the revenue, that's the good side. What's taken away, and this is the change to our state revenue, is the $31,050 for lottery. The one-time money we received in 18-19, we're not going to receive in 19-20, and we will know more this week after the governor presents the May revision, but there's no indication that there will be any one-time funding. So that is $384,411 that we will not have next year. In addition, there's local revenue that we receive this year we will not receive next year. That's the Thomas file claim, $301,264. The workman's comp rebate, which was $128,856. And then you'll recall that we rent on the Baylord property three homes, and one home is not rented at this time, so that's $43,978 loss of revenue. In addition, we're increasing our contribution to special ed because we had to hire 2 additional special education teachers to meet the needs of our special ed students, and that's $240,306. So as a result, our projected revenues are $21,324,392. Let me point out that is $17,342 less than last year. So our revenue for next school year is less than this school year. Page 26, please. So we've reviewed these budget drivers, unrestricted budget drivers. Our step and column increases are $191,625. Health and welfare increases $79,057. Then our pension increases $90,540 for STRS, $128,976 for CalPERS. Utilities increase, and this is interesting because we typically don't expect a 25% of increase, but due to the disasters and the disaster claims, our liability and property insurance has gone up 25%, so that's $57,002. So our increases for next year are $502,466, which is a 2.6% increase. So right away, our budget drivers are increasing 2.6%, yet we're receiving less revenue. And that does not even include salary increases for our employees next year. So on page 27, we have the total unrestricted expenditure budget assumptions. So at estimated actuals, for 18-19, it was $21,922,068. And then we add for next year the $58,466. We did have some savings with position control adjustments, meaning we've had some retirement savings, and for next year we're not going to have some extensive medical leave and accommodations, so we will have a savings of $258,875. And then we added our reductions that you indicated at last board meeting at $809,132. So then our expenditures for next year will be $21,436,527. And then page 28 has not changed. These are the 13 different areas of which we are reducing, and that was reflected in the FTE as well as the one-time curriculum expenditure, the athletics, and the curriculum field trips. Page 29 is the fund balance and reserves projected. So we have an unrestricted ending fund balance for 18-19 at estimated actuals. So as of today, that's $1,938,522. Our projected revenue is $21,324,392. Our expenditures, $21,436,527. So we still are deficit spending $112,135. However, our ending balance at $1,826,387 allows us to have a reserve of 6.12%. And then on page 31, you'll see our 18-19 estimated actuals that I've already presented, and then our preliminary budget for 19-20. So our preliminary budget is revenue $29,728,058, and spending expenditures $29,740,193, and then with a fund balance decrease of $112,135. And then the total general fund is on page 30. Again, that shows the revenue at $29,728,057, and the expenditures $29,740,193. Again, your deficit is $112,136, and your ending balance will be $2.6 million. Page 32 is updated to show you the estimated actuals, of which our reserve was 6.37%. Preliminary budget for 19-20 shows a reserve of 6.12%, and then the projections for the next 2 years, 7.69 and 11.21. Keep in mind, however, the projected budget of 19-20 and then going out to 2021 and 21-22 does not include salary increases.
So you're looking for some direction here?
Or questions and direction, yes.
Anybody have questions?
Thank you, Maureen.
Mm-hmm. Yes, she worked hard to get it done before her surgery.
So, my question is, I guess it's more to the rest of the board, is do we feel comfortable with this revised number, because it's the reserves, the projected reserves are less than we were looking at our last meeting?
Yes, due to the estimated actuals.
Do the estimated
Yes.
actuals with the increases in special ed and the increase and the decreases in those revenues, and
I mean, I'm also just concerned that we don't have any salary increases in there yet, and that's
exactly.
going to hit us hard.
So if we went back to that proposal, I think it was a little over $900,000 in reductions, as opposed to the 810 or 9 that we have plugged in the schedule. 809.
Might I recommend that we still don't have the May revise?
We don't.
And we don't have the latest information, and that will come in June. Will come
So,
in
so,
May.
so,
end of
so
May.
you're basically just saying stay steady right now, and then see
That's
what
my
happens.
recommendation.
What happens with the governor's revise?
Yes.
Okay.
That's my recommendation.
All right.
At this point.
But I think this is a good indicator. A good example of why you need a reserve, because we really don't have control over these costs that or these reductions in revenues that come in, in April and May. And if we don't have adequate reserves, then we've got to make very drastic reductions. And if we were, as some have recommended, at 3%, we'd have no choice but to lay people off instantly. And that would be.
You can say my name.
No. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about.
Because I've said it. That's what I.
Well, you have.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, then say my name.
But do you understand why we need to have a bigger reserve? Because we're not reliant on average daily attendance funding, and when we have these expenses that come up that we haven't budgeted for, and we don't have a cushion, we have to make very disruptive changes immediately. I think that's very important to understand that. So, all right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, we'll move on to Measure U. Item H1 is we're being asked to approve change order number 2 for modular classroom purchases at Canalino. Change orders in the amount of $7,725. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
A second.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, move on to H2, transfer of bond allocations established by Facilities Master Plan for contingencies and escalation to project budgets, and that's what Cindy was, we were talking about earlier, and that we're being asked to approve a transfer of $10,495,435 that has been designated contingency and escalation to project budgets.
Move to approve.
I second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, item H3, being asked to defer certain Measure U projects as described in that that update. Can I get and the deferral is for $31,841,488 and being deferred until we receive state matching funds, presumably in 22-23. Can I get a motion to approve?
I move to approve the deferral of certain Measure U projects pending receipt of state facility funding.
A second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, item H4, being asked to approve the purchase of TVs and TV setups for CHS Modernization Wing C, D, and G.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
Are these, I thought every room at Carpi had gotten new TVs and setups.
They did. However, having used the setup is not effective enough for the way the rooms are shaped and for the students' visibility, so they're adding an additional TV.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yes, that
Said
will
that.
mirror
Yes.
that.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Because you've seen that being in, when you're in
Yeah.
that room. Sometimes
Mhm.
they can't see
Right.
adequately. They need both TVs
Yeah.
for where the students are sitting in the desks.
Yes.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, Item I, personnel. We're being asked to approve the personnel summary.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Board communications. Sally.
String backwards. Like everybody else, like you, Diana, I went to a number of school-related things this last few weeks. I think the highlight for me was Goldilocks and the Three Bears at Canalino. The DLI students, along with the kindergarten students, put on an amazing, amazing play with a variety of students speaking roles, both some in Spanish and some in English. And we were all duly impressed. It was, I don't think any of us sitting way at the back ever had a smile off of our faces. It was wonderful. So congratulations to the teachers and the principals for putting that on. I also participated in the Carpentry Education Foundation Senior Scholarship interviews. We probably interviewed about 30 students, and I would like to congratulate Mr. Concejo and the students and the teachers because we were all moved to tears on several occasions. There's just an amazing group of students that are moving on to mostly four-year colleges, some going to City College. But it was quite an impressive 3 days of listening to students talk about what they had learned and what they had done. And the things that they do is quite incredible. So congratulations to you all.
Jamie.
I had two things. I am looking forward to the spring tour of all the campuses because I missed it in the fall. So I'm pretty excited about that because I haven't seen the Gen 7s yet. And I'm also very excited that you're here, Michelle.
Thank you.
I'd like to say I'm no longer the newbie, but you clearly know more than I do. So that's how the boards run. So.
Rogelio.
Yes. First of all, I would like to congratulate every student from kindergarten to 12th grade for their great effort and dedication. And I also would like to thank every teacher, every principal for their hard work. And right here in front, we have students who pretty soon will be attending. Could be City College, could be UCSB, could be Stanford, it could be any big university. And that's our goal, to guide you so that you get what you really want to get, an education, a college degree. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Michelle.
Yep. I'm just happy to be back. I started in this seat when I first got elected, and I feel like I've come full circle. And I've been on a 6-month vacation, but looking forward to catching back up and participating again.
Well,
so
we want to all thank you.
Thank you.
All of us want to thank you for stepping up and filling this role. So thank you very much.
Very welcome.
I would like to remind everyone that Sally is being honored on Saturday at the Boys and Girls Club auction, and we should all turn out for that. And, so congratulations and thanks for all you do in the community, Sally.
Thank you.
Yeah. And with that, I think we're adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.